and celebrate those differences. Welcome to Spectrums and Spaces, dialogues on gender, diversity, and belonging. A space that isn't here simply to inform, but to transform. We live in a world where boxes are easy to check and harder to break, where categories are rigid but real lives are fluid, where we are taught to simplify identity when what we really need is the courage to embrace its complexity. This conference is our attempt to pause that rush, to hold spaces for the in-between, to hear stories that usually don't make it to the center, to recognize that belonging is not a gift to be handed down. It is a right to be fiercely upheld. And so today, we are not just here to listen. We are here to witness. We are not just here to speak. We are here to understand. We are here to celebrate not just identities, but the courage it takes to live them out loud. Throughout the day, you will hear from mental health professionals, educators, legal advocates, and doctors. Each one of them bring with them not only knowledge, but also lived wisdom. So let this not be a passive experience. Be present, be open, be kind. Let curiosity guide you more than conclusions. And let us walk out of here not with answers, but with better questions. We are delighted to welcome you on behalf of Dr. D.M.N. College of Home Science, proud recipient of the RUSA 2.0 grant, whose support and vision have helped bring this event to life. We also warmly welcome you on behalf of our collaborating institution, Srimati Manipan and Shah College, whose commitment to inclusive education makes them an invaluable partner. Once again, let us begin. I would like to call Ishita Panchal to introduce our first speaker.
Hello everyone, I am Ishita Panchal. I am a student of MA Counseling Psychology from MMP Shah College. I am here today to introduce Dr. Nilakshi. Let's all welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Nilakshi. She is an academician and a writer. She is a core group member of Sweekar, which is a Mumbai-based group for Indian LGBTQ children. She recently retired from KIT's Vaze, College of Arts, Science and Commerce in Mumbai. Throughout her career, she specialized in English literature, arts and humanities. She is also interested in culture and fashion. Most notably, she co-authored the chapter Changing Avatars of the Choli in India, Blouse to High Fashion Garment in January 2013. Showcasing her interdisciplinary interest in culture, dress and societal transformation. She writes short stories and articles and is a founder of Cultural Conversation on Cultural and Social Awareness. Works with underprivileged children and women in her spare time currently and has authored number of papers on diverse subjects, notably on fashion, on the sari, on choli and on film. Her work combines literature, history and culture, and she has guided many students during her career. So let's all welcome her with a round of applause.
Thank you for such a warm welcome and this added elevation, which really goes no end in boosting my morale. Okay. A very good morning to all of you. I know that you have traveled long distances to come here this early, as have I. And let's all make best use of today's program. I can see many known faces. I hope I'm audible enough to come back. Yeah. So, hello and good morning to my erstwhile students, colleagues, friends in this college. Dr. Mala Pandurang, your principal. This is addressed to the students of this college, of course. Has been my mentor and my actual academic guide, my PhD guide. We are the best of friends now, but I must, I must acknowledge my lifetime of gratitude and warm feelings towards her. It is with people like her and her, passion for seeking out people's support in academics and in other activities that takes a college to greater heights. And therefore, I return here time and again to watch more and more and more involvement of students and staff in many different areas, not only this, but in many, many different areas. Thank you for having me, first and foremost. I warmly acknowledge the presence of my fellow panelists and guests, other guests who are going to speak after me, for example, and Nita, who are here, and maybe others are here also whom I don't as yet know. Today's brief address is very closely related to the concept note that was shared with me earlier. So this is the flyer. The concept note outlines the importance of a collaborative initiative between academicians and mental health professionals, members of the community, and parents. So I'm here as quite a number of things, except I'm not really a member of the community, but they have adopted me very happily as as a straight ally. The ultimate aim is to foster safe and affirmative spaces for students and educators to explore gender, identity, and belonging by reference to lived narratives. This is also where I come in. Okay, I speak as a parent and as a counselor to many queer individuals from the community whose parents may or may not have become members of Sweekar. Also somewhat of an academic engagement. I'm not going to harp on the academic engagement because that would be insincere, because right now I'm retired and I don't have much to do with academics. But definitely I could give insights as to what happens in a classroom or in a college space or a university space, and how one can become more forthright about support to the community. So the conference objectives are to engage students with lived experiences of queer and neurodiverse individuals, to encourage inclusive mental health and educational practices, to build affirming academic spaces through dialogue, and to celebrate Pride Month through critical and compassionate inquiry. May we have my presentation? You will see that the outline of my presentation, as soon as it is shared here, follows these few trajectories. I always return to these 4 objectives so that at the end of today's deliberations, we come to a better understanding of how to build queer affirmative spaces in every possible sphere. In the classroom, in the home, in the school, in the playground, in the canteen or the office, or in the buses or trains, in public spaces and in private spaces, in adulthood and in older age. So this is going to be what I will be celebrating throughout this. A brief introduction to myself and my engagement in this entire process in the meanwhile, as this is being put on. So, I am Nilakshi Roy. I hail from Kolkata initially. I came to Mumbai in 1986. I started working in Kelkar, Vaze Kelkar College in Mulund from 1988 onwards, and I retired in 2021. It's been a long engagement with academics indeed. In the meantime, I did my MPhil from here, my PhD from here in Mumbai, and I also, gave birth to and reared two amazing children, my two daughters. One of them, the younger one, showed signs of slight change in her, in her behavior in say 2013, 2014 onwards. You can say that I was a little aware of what might have been going on, because I thought that she was very, very friendly with her, with her friend. With her friend and college mate, and I thought that this was probably becoming more than friendship. I was aware of the fact that she never spoke to me about it. I never asked her anything about it. But I think we both knew that we knew. Okay, but 2 years later, after her graduation, she went abroad. And that's when we noticed a significant change in her attitude towards everything, especially towards us and towards communication. Okay, so communication became very difficult for her, and she gradually, showed me through trails on Facebook about her leaning towards the rainbow community. I asked her things, I asked her straightforward, please don't go there as if you're watching a show unless you're really a part of it. Don't go there, it would be an insult to the community. Do you think you belong to it and all that? I asked her this. Imagine. So then she, of course, didn't say, no, mommy, I'm just going for academic interest. I said, okay, fine. And then later on, I found that she was having significant trouble with her mental health and communication. And one day I told her, I need to talk to you. And we spoke over Skype, and that's how she came out to me. She came out to me, letting me know that she had been struggling with her identity and her sexual orientation, and that probably she's bisexual rather than lesbian. Okay? So this was again another, step towards greater knowledge for me, and day when I started probably going into a little bit of a closet of my own, When a child comes out to you, you go into a closet. So this is something which I just thought I'll share with you in advance. After that, began a journey of self-education for me. I was already seeking the help of a counselor. She gave me a lot of support. It's very heartening to share that that counselor had also two daughters, and later on one of them started associating with the community, became a member of the community, and she is now a fellow Sweekar parent. Okay, so these things kept happening, and finally my daughter Koninika returned to India, and she took up a job with Humsafar Trust, and my journey as a parent began out in the open. Very gradually, very slowly, I took baby steps towards acquainting myself with the scenario. Gradually, I became a member of Sweekar Rainbow Parents in 2017, so that's 4 or 5 years in between which has gone. And then, I was fully out to myself and to my family, my very close friends, and my journey began. So that's, in a nutshell, who am I and where I come from. Okay? Since then, it's been a life of a lot of, speaking out, activism, and a lot of things. I'm still learning, though. I'll always be a student of something which amazes me, and which amazes me and continues to perplex me sometimes, and so I will always be a very curious student and an avid supporter of the group. Yeah, so following the next slide, please. So following the 4 objectives, the brief outline of my opening talk is on this, on celebrating difference and diversity, about the LGBTQIA in a very brief nutshell, because all of you I think are aware. If anyone isn't, please let me know. And then I go on to talk about discrimination and how it affects people, and then how one can become a better ally, and how to really build a queer affirmative space. As I said, the idea of space is very notional, so we'll talk about it in that fluid manner. It's not just one space that I will be talking about. My emphasis will, of course, as I said, be on the lived experiences of everyone, including teachers and students, community members and counselors, as well as allies, and how they can be tuned to building these affirmative spaces. Next, please. So, quoting from Harvey Milk's statements about freedom and rights, it takes no compromise to give people their rights, it takes no money to respect the individual, it takes no political deal to give people freedom, and it takes no survey to remove repression. So, even if you don't understand everything about the community, okay, and all its differences and its politics or its different ramifications, just, basically you can just love and respect everyone. That's the premise from where I wish to begin this little journey, this short shared journey with you, okay? Just respect and love people. That's where you become a good ally and a good member of society. Next, please. Yeah, I think most of you are aware of these terminologies, and most of you are postgraduates, some of you may be undergraduates, but you, I think, are aware of these terms. Some of the terms are often misunderstood, misapplied. You will find that as you are, young adults, you better be aware of this, that the term transgender is often, used interchangeably to conflate the idea of sexuality, which is often troublesome, So use transgender because they're more visible and they're kind of accepted in our culture via the Hijra community. So use that term to stand for, collectively, the entire umbrella. So that is a little bit of a troublesome area. You will notice this more and more in sometimes even government documents and all that, That's a challenge, okay? So transgender is not the same as lesbian and bisexual and queer, okay? I mean, you should be knowing this, and that there is no way of ignoring sexuality, that a person can love another person despite the accepted notions of, the binary notions of sexuality is something which every community struggles to adopt, okay? Especially due to the influence of certain religions, maybe, But I'm not going into that discussion, but just remember these two things. The fact that it's not the same and it's being done. It is increasingly being done, and you must be aware. Another notion, which is a little bit of a trouble, is the idea that transgenders are intersex. Yeah? The fact that transgenders are called transgenders because they have some unique sex organs which are problematic. I mean, whoever told us that we have to have a perfect sex organ? First and foremost, that is the question. There is nothing normal in life, okay? There is nothing normal, there is nothing like a blueprint, and nothing that should look like something or be like something, okay? So the intersex have certain types of sex organs which, according to certain notions, are not perfect, okay? And that is the idea that one associates often with transgender, saying that unka to, tritiya panthi, matlab tritiya type ka linga hai, so must be something odd and something strange. Okay, that is again not true. Many of the transgenders whom we know have not got any very, vichitra or vikrit sex organs. Okay, so that is again something that the genitalia is often a kind of a site where transgender and intersex happen. So as young adults, please don't confuse these, and don't let others trick you into believing that they understand. You must be very sensitive to this issue. The intersex lobby is also getting very strong. I have a friend who is a parent of an intersex child, and she's working in a very big way for this. You must know the name of that person. Her name is Kaushali Chakraborty. She is working very hard for intersex rights, and she had a child who is no more, but she has dedicated her life to this activity. Anyway, so this is just a brief introduction. Now, let's move on to the idea that such people from the community are discriminated against. We at least agree on this, all of us? Yeah, we often discriminate against people just because they look like something, or do something, or profess to be someone else. Okay, like this person. Sorry if it disturbs this person who just walked in with a cap and a jacket. Yeah, this is not common to what we are all doing. I'm sure you're still wondering why this is happening. Yeah, that's that person's choice. Okay, if it was a court of law where she was or they were a practitioner, then probably the demand of the court of law would be that they come in uniform. If they were a police personnel, there would be a demand. If they were in the army, probably they would wear some other kind of dress. But we, as a rule, we will not let that person be. We will later on ask that person, टोपी पहन के क्यों था? क्यों टोपी खोल के नहीं आती है? देखा ना, हम लोग क्यों नहीं पहनते? तू क्यों पहनती है? These are some of the things we keep doing. These are discriminatory. Understand? It's not that discrimination is something that everybody does because of policy, okay, or because of very strict rules and how one flouts them and all that. Discrimination is a daily affair. It is these little touches with which we otherize people. We push them away. At the playground, in the classroom, in the canteen, in the bus, on the roadside, in the metro, we discriminate against people every day. Can I ask you to think about it? Just pause for a minute and think about how you yourself might be discriminating against people every day by not choosing to sit next to someone because he or she looks different, not choosing to walk alongside someone because you have a maybe threat perception. Okay, I'm not even going into details, but these are just the little things. And just that little different person who is there in the playing field, you wouldn't like to take that person in your team. You wouldn't even like to take a new person into your team or sit next to that person in the canteen. These are discrimination. These are discrimination. How does it impact a person who feels different? Have you asked yourself this question? I think you have. And if you have, then you know that, next slide please, that these are the possibilities that can happen due to discrimination. Yeah? We might go through these a little quicker, yeah? So isolation, shame or fear, feeling of restlessness, sometimes homelessness because you cannot belong, okay? Sometimes self-hatred and self-harm, sometimes substance abuse, and definitely depression, and sort of an anxiety of hiding, being found out, and often suicidal thoughts. These are the things which happen when you discriminate against a person. If you're discriminating against a person of the community, these increase manifold. Because you know what? One of the reasons is that that person from the community, from the LGBTQI community, which I'm not mentioning every time, just saying community as a marker, they are unable to find positive representations of themselves in popular media or in conversation or in present in social occasions and all that. So they anyway feel isolated. Even if you are not being discriminatory towards them, they are very fortunate, they have a very loving family and they feel at home by acceptance, they still feel that they are isolated because they're marginalized, because there are no positive images of them in the public domain. Okay, so that is already one of the things that they experience, alongside the discriminatory practices that happen in a society. Yeah, some of the discriminatory practices one must be aware of. Like, see, for example, I mean, something very simple and silly, in fact, but it can be really moving. Like, for example, my daughter was not discriminated against in school because of her identity, her sexual identity. She was not even aware, probably, of that. When she was in the 8th standard, it so happened that she began to become a little weaker in maths and science, you know. Similar story happened to my sister ages ago. People started discriminating against you if you were not good in science and maths. Is this a common thing for you to understand? Some of you might have, I see smiling faces and nodding faces. So you have experienced this at times, you know. This can go to a horrid extreme. Horrid extreme. People turn bullies. You know, they turn this isolating fact into a cause for bullying that person, as if she were weaker and worthless just because she was not fitting into that good at maths and good at science bracket. Okay, that worthlessness is something which is heaped on her personality, and that person suffers, I mean, immensely. My sister was a case in example. She's really successful today, just like my daughter is. But both of them had this struggle against this kind of stereotypification and stereotype examples. So lived examples, solid 2 lived examples I am now sharing, that it can be a very, very mortifying experience to be discriminated against. So how does one feel when one is discriminated? A compendium of all this. Maybe not all of them, but some of them at some times. So ideally then, what should one do? What should one do as a peer? What can one do to enable someone to be a part of your group? Enable someone to be a part of your community, your society, your peerhood, etc. Now, how do you as an individual help? So what you can do is, despite being part of a group, you can assert your own positive intuition about human beings, and through your effective kindness, become and train yourself to become an ally. Okay? These are very important things which nobody tells us, and they teach us a lot of moral science, but they don't tell us how to counteract otherness or otherizing, people. So this is something that one has to definitely take care of. So examples of my own personal life will, of course, be shared more and more as we go. But trying to train yourself to become an ally can happen with education, with self-education, as well as when someone else, takes your hand and leads you to it. Like, say, for example, my greatest educator had been my daughter. She asked me one day after she joined Humsafar Trust, and a few months had elapsed after she had come back to India, and we were just sort of getting warily comfortable with the fact that she is of a different sexual denomination, and that she belongs to a certain group, and that she is now working in Humsafar Trust, and she's very successful, and all. We were great, taking pride in this. So we were sort of at home in this field. And then she said that during Holi, can I bring a bunch of my friends? I said, yeah, of course. And I was not prepared for the riot of colors when she brought 15 of her friends who spent the entire day with us, in all their different dress and hair and color and, their basically rang, That rang is something that opened my eyes. I started then believing and thinking that these are all my children. Harish Iyer was there also in that group. He is now, 53 or something. But, he was a child to me then. We became friends. We started working together for so long. His mother is, of course, more my age and my friend. But we are friends too. So, that third eye opening can happen with the help of someone, okay? A family member or a member of the community, but your allyship training can happen in any which way, by self-learning or by imbibing lessons from others, or by the helpful guidance of someone. You have to, however, be open to that learning. That is the first step. You have to be open to learning. Okay? So, in that way, we started adopting the community, and then the journey went on. Then I went to Hamsafar Trust office, and then that was another shock. So many people, large men, okay, small women, transgender people. Everyone comes and hugs me and says, "Oh, your ponies, mom," as if I was this extra special person. I didn't know that I could just become so special to some people who are looking for support and love. Maternal support and love, okay? Family support and love. So allyship gives you that. It gives you an aura, okay? You don't know, for example, when you walk into an office, when say, for example, a person from the community walks into an office and finds that the person she's talking to at the reception is wearing a rainbow badge, okay, or a rainbow lanyard. That immediately sets the community person at ease. That's one of the ways you can do it, So allyship has many ways of presenting itself. So these simple touches can, give comfort and a joy to so many people. So this is basically what you need to do. Just love. Just learn about. Just lend support unconditionally. Okay? One more example I'll give you of allyship, which is related to parenthood and my own experience. Again, as I said, it's going to be filled with my experiences, okay, which I am glad to share with you openly here. When my husband learned about Koninika's sexuality, it took a little longer time for him to accept and understand. Okay? He is older than me by about 8 years. He belongs to another generation. There weren't any living examples around him at his time, not too many, or he was not aware of. Unlike me, who was well read into English poetry and English literature, written largely in the early 20th century by so many people who belonged to the community. I was already aware of their existence and their struggles and their joys and their extreme creativity and all of those things. So I was familiar with this world and he wasn't, and it took him a little time to accept Konika. But, he decided to come with me to Kashish Film Festival as a part of the parents group who were going to address people, and reporters spoke to all of us and they asked him a question, and then he said, after all, I just remember that this Konika is the same as that little child whom I used to carry from my house to the neighbor's house to keep her with the babysitter because her mother and I myself were both away for work. She's that child. So nothing has changed. She is my child and I will love her regardless of what. And at that stage, he also decided to become vocal about it, vocal about the fact that he was a staunch supporter and an ally. And this again gave so much of joy to Konika, so much of security, so much of confidence. And it's finally as if all the walls broke, So there are many ways in which you can exhibit your allyship, maybe in private, maybe in public, okay? Maybe just one story, one little sharing, that does it, So there are so many ways in which you can be a supporter and ally to your friend, to your peer, to your cousin, to your siblings, and maybe one day to your child. You are young adults. That day is not far when you will be parents one day. Yeah, that's all. So this is something that you can always do. Open your heart, open your mind, and share publicly, openly your support for the person you are associating as an ally. Okay? Yeah. Next, please. Right. These are some of the details which you must already be knowing, but I'm still emphasizing these. That when someone trusts you with their big secret, then it's a sign of great love, great trust. Honor that, Don't talk about it to anyone. Don't ask uncomfortable questions. Let that person, be gradually warming up to you and unfolding details. All you need to do is love and support. So why you need to do all details? तुझे क्या ऐसा लगता है, तुझे क्या ऐसा लगता है? You don't have to ask these things. Just be quiet, just be supportive. And by you will find out. And even if you don't find out, it doesn't matter. You don't have to know everything. You just have to be very, very careful that you support this person. You learn from her how she is struggling with her life and support a person. Respect their trust, support them unconditionally. If you don't understand, there are many resources. I will be listing a whole lot of resources at the end of my talk. You can go and find out. But find out from the correct source. Okay, don't just ramble about the internet trying to find out things. Also get support for yourself. If you are really close to the person it's affecting you, get counseling. That person, that peer affirmative counselor, like so many here who are already here today are getting trained to become such counselors, will help you. They will help you understand better. If you're a sibling who is responsible, older, and the person is looking up to you, if you are one day a parent, okay? If you are a peer, or if you are an employer, why not? You might be an employer and your employee comes to confide in you. What do you do then? So today's training is for all of these things. It's not of only mental health that you are going to deal with, but there are so many ways in which you can become allies. So I've written this in a very qualifying way that as allies we can be easy to reach most of the time. It's not possible to be always accessible, but at least most of the time see to it that you are reachable, that you're accessible, the person can talk to you, So that is one of our responsibilities as a friend or as a supporter. While you're learning to be allies, you will find out that you fear a lot of things. And all these fears are listed in red. Okay? You fear that your sibling, friend, child will be lonely, employee might be lonely, might not get married, might be ostracized by society, might face bullying or harassment, and this will be a big distraction to their career. These are some of the usual things that parents levy against a child also, and these are some of the fears which are very real fears for some parents, some allies also. Okay? Now, I could take out all of these and shred them to bits by my own lived experience, because I was one to feel these at times. My fears about my child's sexuality were not because of her otherness, they were because of society. You know what I forgot in the process? I forgot that I was society. That's what happened. I forgot that I am a person who is like so many others in the society, and that I have to change in order to understand what she's going through or where she comes from and where she will be heading. So the fact that she will be lonely, counteracted by the holy incident, welcome her friends, no? She has made new friends, welcome her friends to your home. Okay? Now I am known in those circles as Poni's mom. I don't know half of them, but I know, they know me as this. So they know that I am a safe space. They know that I am a safe space. This is what space is about. Okay? The space is not really a space. Yeah, it's you. So fearing that they may not get married. I'm so thankful to share that my daughter has found a partner and is living with her for the past 6 years. Yeah, she lives with her and her mother, who has been recently widowed. Her partner's father died some time back, and they are happily settled in a beautiful domestic establishment. They were here in Mumbai for a long time. They've now moved to Bangalore. They are wonderfully happy. They live with 2 cats and the mother safely and happy. Marriages break. I'm not saying anything else. Okay? My older daughter is not married. She is struggling to find a partner. I have more worries about her than my younger one. So you see, what was I thinking and what has happened? I'm so happy and safe and, content with whatever is happening to both of them, but definitely in this sphere with Konini. They may be ostracized by society. No, they have their own society. They are respected by their families of choice. One little more example. When Koninika's cat died in Bangalore, okay, very beloved cat who had given her so much of psychological support, 3 of her friends from Mumbai rushed there. None of her 3 family members went. Okay? They were there with her for 3 or 4 days. You know how difficult it is for people to, young people like you, to travel and, arrange for work and all of that, leave and all. But they did. So families of choice, families and friends of choice, they are always there. They are going to be there. Honor them. Give them that space. I had to learn to accommodate them as her first family. And that's a learning experience. It's fine. They were there when she had been troubled. Sometimes we might not have been there. Okay? So as an ally, you have to learn all of these things. Another fear that they will face bullying and harassment and all of that. Who will bully them? Who will harass them if you are standing like this parvat in front of them? Firstly, in your own society and your neighborhood and your family, no one is going to. Secondly, be assured that you have trained your child right to stand up for her own space, her own rights, in her own way. Okay? Your friend, your ally, not just child all the time. They know how to do that. You also have a responsibility to stand up and speak for them. So do that instead of blaming society. Always blaming, 4 fingers turned inwards. Blame yourself. Okay? Learn to, adapt. Also the fact that this sexuality business and finding partners and never being happy will be a big distraction to their careers. It's not that simple and that watertight or that. Believe in their talent and their ability to do well in life. And don't be shy of celebrating their success. Okay? They may be in a different field, but their success is to be shared as proudly. Today my husband and myself, proudly share our child's success in relevant ways where we don't brag about them, but then where it is necessary and where it can be shared, we are very proud to share what she does. I'm so happy to also tell you that my father, who passed away when he was 92 in 2021, he was also very proud to see her on television and in other places wherever he could. And I sent videos of her speaking and all that. He was so proud of her. He didn't understand everything, but as I said, he was an ally. He supported her. He didn't understand it. He didn't have to. He and my mother both decided that, she is my very successful grandchild and I will support her in any way that I can. So there are different ways in which, your eyes are open. As you grow older, probably, as you start sharing the life of a person, important thing is to listen, to observe, to keep your mind open and to be approachable to change every time. Next, please. How do allies support pride? That is one of the engagements, one of the objectives in your program. So I thought that I must talk about this also, because we are in the Pride Month and this event is being celebrated here, and other events are also, I think, here down. How do allies support pride? Next, please. Next. See, these are some of the interpellations of pride, that pride, brings out freedom, it celebrates freedom, it also celebrates diversity, and there is a lot of politics. It is a political statement that you're making when you are participating in pride. And the corporates and allies are also in support of this. Allies being, surprisingly, even certain government machineries are in support of pride in certain spaces. I'm not saying all. Okay? Like say for example, we had the most wonderful experience in Thane as we organized Thane Pride, when the police walked with us, from the distance, but maintaining discipline. And this has been my experience in every pride. They may not understand everything, but they are supportive. And that is what counts, you know. The police gave us permission readily. They asked us to do certain things. I was there. I went and asked for permission, you know, as a parent and a Sweekar member, because we are community partners. The organizer, Vaze, and myself went to the police station to seek permission. They were so kind towards us. They told us exactly the formulation, how we have to go about it and all this, and they were extremely supportive throughout the way. So there are, you know, the celebration of Pride itself is a kind of a combined activity. It cannot happen alone by the community. And each celebration of Pride, please remember, is a kind of a demonstration of allyship. The fact that you are marching on the streets in a community, in a city, is itself a celebration of allyship. Because so many organizations are behind you, supporting you, the traffic, the police, vehicles on the road, individual citizens, bystanders, you know, who watch you stand there, ask things. We were distributing leaflets, they were reading them. So it is like a celebration of allyship. So this is one of the very big ways in which you can celebrate. I will of course talk about what is Pride also shortly, because some of you might not understand or might not have experienced it. How many of you have experienced a Pride walk? Have you been part of that? Okay. That's why, you know, that's why I thought that I'll share this with you also, because it becomes meaningful only if I share it sometimes. So now you understood that it's like a march where you go walk down the city streets for a certain time with notice to the police and all of that. So that's what it is. And it is therefore, you know, supported by many people who want to draw mileage from it, or who just want to support you by donating some money towards the organization of it. There is dhol tasha, there is a big float, there are banners and all that. Next slide, please. There are banners and all that. There's a lot of preparation. Next one, please. Next. Yeah, so this is all that the Pride is. It's just called Pride today, but it was also one time called Gay Pride, then LGBT Pride or LGBTQ Pride. Today it's just called Pride. It's an annual celebration, usually in June in the United States and most parts of the world, but different cities adopt their months as Pride Month in India. It is a way of asserting and celebrating the identity of the LGBTQIA community. It actually commemorates the Stonewall riots. Go study your history. I'm not giving you that lesson here, but it commemorates the Stonewall riots which happened in the US in the 1969, I think. It involves a series of events, nearly the whole of the month, culminating in the Pride Walk very often. So it's like towards the end of the month. And during the Pride, there are colorful floats and pageants and dress-up and placards and slogans from the LGBT community and supporters. Allies can walk also in the Pride. Next, please. These are versions of the Pride flag. The first one is now sort of outdated, and the next one, the one which was designed in 2021 is the one which is accepted, with the intersex community mentioned here, with the representation of the circle. And these are the colors which are chosen for the Pride flag in contemporary times. Next, please. What do you do at a Pride rally? These are the things that you do. You know, you prepare slogans, you make posters, you make banners and placards, and you dress, and there are floats and the pageant, or you can just walk quietly, if you like. So all of these are what people do at the Pride. Okay? Who does all this? As I told you, the community and their allies. So allies can participate in this in a big way. So if you're wanting to know how you can participate, you can become an ally and walk alongside the community at a Pride. Next, please. Now I come to more, reflexive part of this address, where I look at myself as an ally. I look at parents, especially Sweekar parents. It is also official part of my representing Sweekar that I talk a little about them. So we are an informal support group. We don't have any office. We operate by WhatsApp and by email and by Instagram. Our Facebook page is just down at the moment. We have a website as well. We started in 2017, the main objective being to support other parents who are in the closet or who are struggling to support their children. They are struggling with themselves and their emotions and their understanding and supporting their children. Initially, these parents are members through personal contacts. Now they mostly get the information about Sweekar through social media, and then they approach us. Okay, now they don't have to hunt for. If they ask for parents' support, then Sweekar comes in, and they are directed to our page. So these are some of the ways. The important thing is that as parents, we are often the first people to bully our child. We are ready to cut off their wings, and we just don't understand who they are and what they are doing. We take them to babas, we take them to therapists and counselors who are illegal. It is illegal to try to, convert a child from LGBTQ to what is called normal. There's nothing normal, as I already told you. So that is something which is banned. It's banned in India, it's banned by the WHO, it's banned by the United Nations. So please don't. See to it that if any parent is engaging in such activity, it is not correct. Continue please, next slide. Yeah. Our aspect of Sweekar, which is most important according to me, is the confidentiality. We will never talk about who approached us, either child or parent or anyone else. Okay? Ever. Unless that person wants to come out in the open. Before taking any photograph of all this also, before taking any photograph, we see to it that we isolate the person who does not want to be photographed or is not out to his or her society or community. There are film stars among us, please understand. Okay, whose children are queer and they don't want to be out in the open. So we protect their confidentiality. Okay, so yeah, so parents who are not fully out, confused and struggling find safe space. We started in Mumbai and now we are based in most of the cities in India. Okay, very shortly the list of the cities will come, so I'm not repeating it. And we celebrate our children's identity with pride and fondness. Here you can see us walking. First picture of me slightly highlighted is from Mumbai Pride this year, and the second picture is of all of us at Thane Pride. Okay, we are going to meet Reet Prasanna in the next session. The lady in the corner in the checked waistcoat is Reet's mother, Meghna Deshpande. Next, please. So what do we do in Sweekar? We arrange workshops to train ourselves. Okay, we have a Prabal certification course, which the Humsafar Trust, I'm proud to say, Koninika Roy has largely designed, and we are still using that year after year to train other parents and getting trained again ourselves. We organize Diwali party with the families and the children. We are always on the telephone counseling people. We also do face-to-face counseling. We are able to offer counseling in many regional languages, peer counseling. It's not counselors professionally, but peer counseling in different languages, Like we choose a person from an army background speaking Punjabi for a similar person. Do you understand? Now we have so many parents that we are able to do that. So that journey has been very, very long and arduous. We also gave a lot of help during the pandemic. I'm not telling you all what kind of help, but a lot of help. During the pandemic, when the children could no longer remain closeted from parents, and Sweekar, Sweekar membership increased manifold during this time, during the pandemic, 2021, 2020. We also call parents when they seem quiet and find out whether everything is well, because during the journey, of coming out and being a queer person, there are many changes, and the parent also has to undergo those changes, accommodate those changes. What public events we do is these. I'm not reading them out, you can easily see. I told you that we do 5 pride marches. You can see me addressing you here, bearing my life story. So this is what we do. We also participate in film festivals, produce films. We are on live shows on Instagram and on Facebook, and we access all the modern methods of communication to be with the Gen X and one day probably Gen Alpha. We also have collaborations with various national and international organizations where we participate as delegates. Next please. Yeah, right. So these are all the things that we do. This is again a picture from the Mumbai Pride this year, earlier this year, February I think. So these are the places where we have organizations and where we have branches and where we also participate in Pride activities. Okay, so we have branches in Mumbai, Thane, Pune, Nashik, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Kolkata. Okay, we also have members from abroad, members whose children live abroad. They live in India, sometimes they go stay with their children abroad. So we have people like that also who are parents of children who are non-resident Indians. Continue please. Next. Yeah, just a picture of the Thane Pride, which I take great pride in announcing as being part of a successful organizer. Here is my Thane Pride badge. And here is a gift given to me by a friend. Because of the Pride activities, she makes brooches and she just sent it to me across as a gift. So I always wear these things with pride. Today I'm wearing yours also. So I'm a Pride warrior, you see, so I will have to wear my badges. Okay, so yeah. Now these are the resources available. Those of you who are looking for resources or in future will be looking for resources, you might do this. These are either books or online resources, or these are organizations. So you can approach them through their several social media contacts. Okay? Right. Yeah, and these are my personal handles. Sorry for the light color. I use the light green. Trying to be very rainbow in my presentation. And sorry. So that's my email ID. You're welcome to use it. That's Sweekar email. That's our Instagram handle, and that's me and my husband, about whom I've talked about many times. Okay? We will conclude on this note that today we take a promise to become better allies to anyone who is different from us. Okay? Anyone who is different from us, not necessarily belonging to the LGBTQIA community, but anyone at all. Someone who is differently able, someone who is neurodivergent, someone who is suffering from mental health issues, or just someone who is new to our country. We often make such fetishes of a white skin or a black skin. We behave so badly with people who are from abroad. We don't make them feel comfortable at all. Let us remember to be allies to anyone who we can see is feeling different, is feeling discriminated against or marginalized and can't articulate. Let us do that. Let us be kind. Let us just be loving, respectful and kind, and that's the only way in which we can become, sensitive, worthwhile citizens of our country and human beings, just by definition. So yeah, thank you. I think that has taken more. She says yes. You began late. You never said that. Yes. Yeah. So if there are questions, shall I take them later, or I can answer them? Because if I have overshot time, then we can. Later on. Right. So if you have any questions, please write them down, because you are supposed to ask them after the session is over. Okay? So that both of us can answer those questions. Right? I hope you don't have too many questions. Thank you. You do.
Thank you, ma'am, for that deeply insightful and meaningful session. Hello, everyone. Myself, Pratiksha Shah, pursuing BSc in Human Development from Dr. EMN College of Home Science. I am here to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Nilakshi Roy for gracing this conference with her presence and perspective. As a Sweekar parent, your voice added warmth empathy, and strength to today's dialogue. Personally, ma'am, when you share your personal experience of your daughter, that really motivates us. How the transformative power of unconditional love and determines how families can be powerful allies in this journey. It's crucial that we acknowledge and address these issues, working together to create environment more inclusive and supportive. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Ms. Vidya Subramaniam, our librarian plus Rusa Nodal Officer, to felicitate ma'am. Ma'am, I request you to felicitate Mr. Shinde sir also. Now I would like to call Rupali Soni to introduce our next guest.
Hello everyone, my name is Rupali Soni, a student of MA Counseling Psychology from MMP Shah College. I would now welcome Mr. Meet Shinde, a psychologist and assistant professor at Srimati P.N. Doshi Women's College. With over a decade of teaching experience, Mr. Shinde specializes in qualitative research, social psychology, caste and gender studies, and critical theory. Mr. Shinde has taught at SNDT and RD National College and is deeply involved in curriculum design and student mentorship. Beyond academia, they have worked with organizations like Ferring Pharmaceuticals and ICRW, applying psychology to social justice and public health. Their work has been presented internationally and published in areas such as caste, masculinity, and psychotherapy. With training in narrative therapy, psychoanalysis, and feminist research methods, Mr. Shinde brings critically engaged and socially aware perspective to all they do. Let's extend a warm welcome to Mr. Meet Shinde as they join us today.
Thank you. As you can see, introductions can be embarrassing at times. I'm not going to go up there and speak. Can you all hear me like this? Yes. So I'm so happy that the opening talk brought out so many things that I actually wanted to say. So now we can sort of push the envelope and move forward. No. I'm really glad you said a lot of things that you had to say. In a quick response to that, actually, before we begin, speaking about what I was asked to talk about, which was a whole lot of things. As you did, I also asked for the concept note, and I looked at the things that the concept note says and the objectives that it outlines. I'm so glad ma'am brought out a couple of things which I'd want to sort of add to and or respond to. One of the first things that the previous talk sort of raised was how that love is at the center of so many things to do with allyship, with acceptance, with building queer-friendly spaces, campuses, etc. And as a psychologist, one of the things that the psychoanalytic school of thought in psychology actually says is that in a lot of ways in which we refer or frame love today, we usually sort of say that I love, say, Pallavi's been a student, so I love Pallavi as a student cause 1, 2, 3, 4, or I love Prachi because, etc., etc. When there is a because to love, when I love somebody because he has a car, or when I love somebody because he goes to the gym, or I love somebody because he has beautiful hair, then I have a reason, then I don't actually love them. Right? Then there is a reason, then it's a transaction. So if there is something about love, then it is that you don't really have to understand something, or you don't really need to have a reason. Okay, like I have never known why Honey loves me so much. I have sort of been at the receiving end of a lot of love. I and Honey have worked as colleagues at my college. So I know for a fact that a lot of people from whom I have received a lot of love, I don't know if it comes from a place of understanding or a reason necessarily, and that goes, I mean, it is the same way about anybody, anything, any person we love. It is also about queer allyship, and I think that's also what ma'am brought out. But one thing that I would want to sort of add to, she spoke about pride, and I will come to pride in some, in a part of what I want to say. I want to say that I sort of, when I was looking at the pictures that you put up, I remember that the first Pride March was planned at a Muslim women's organization in the city. It is called Vaze, and while we use the word pride for it today, it used to be called QAM, okay, which is Queer Azadi March. It did not start as a celebration for Mumbai. It started as an Azadi March. It started as an asking for rights. It started as a movement of freedom. It started as people across the spectrum coming together and asking the state, engaging with the state head on. And a lot of that, as you also said, started from the inspiration that the Stonewall riots gave. So the pride and its history is not that of color and celebration. It is trans people literally throwing a stone at somebody and starting a riot. Okay, so we, I mean, there is that radical potential which the Queer Azadi March Mumbai also shares. We could have a separate talk about how that shifted to being called Pride today, but there is that element of the Queer Azadi March which I think we should not let die down. Having said that, we will move to what I want to say, but before I do that, I just want to understand how many of y'all are from MMP Shah? All right. All the non-MMP Shah students, are you all psychology students? Any non-psych students here? No, non-MMP Shah, non-psych. BMM, sorry. I mean, sister, like in that sense, PN Doshi. So, I also teach at an SNDT Women's University affiliated college, and it's an all-women's college. So, are there any non-psych students here that are not human development either? So, not human development, not psych. Okay, BMM.
I'm a faculty, but I'm from the different subject.
What subject?
Biostatistics. I do teach psych students.
Okay,
yeah.
You are a faculty? You are a student. From? And psych. Okay. So this is a fairly homogeneous sort of coming together of people. So I was just wanting to understand where do we begin. And for that, I also have something. I have a QR code that I want you to scan. If you can't scan it, then we will see what to do. But as many people who can scan that QR code and can respond to that QR code, I'd love for us to do that and then start from there. It will take you to a purple colored page. Is it taking you to a purple colored page?
Yes.
Okay. Then it's working. Oh, for a lot of people may not have network. How many of you all cannot scan because no network? All of you. Great. How to plan for failures? Okay, so how many cans can? Okay, response. If there is a Wi-Fi here, custodians of Wi-Fi, please share the password. It will also tell us how territorial we are about things like Wi-Fi. Usually. Doesn't mean anything. If 500 people are using the same Wi-Fi, कुछ नहीं होता है.
Type and you can get to come to your mind when
Somebody at my college actually believes that if all teachers have Wi-Fi or if all students have Wi-Fi, ज़्यादा बिल आएगा. So we can have varied ways to sort of stop people from using resources. Okay, so when you reach that purple page, there is a prompt for you, which is the word queer. Can you now go to that page? Yeah. There is a page that what's that page? Huh. Everyone is now scanned it? Okay. Anybody yet left to scan? Okay, can we go back to the QR code? It will just take you to a page and there's a word there and beneath the page there is a plus sign, okay, which makes you add a response. To just respond to that. Okay? MNC at the rate.
All caps, at 2020.
Yeah. So whoever couldn't scan? पर्पल पेज के नीचे जो पिंक साइन प्लस साइन है उससे आप अपना रिस्पांस वहां पोस्ट कर सकते हैं, उससे आप अपना रिस्पांस ऐड कर सकते हैं. It is basically just asking you to say whatever that comes to your mind when somebody says or uses the word queer. है ना, हम queer pride month celebrate कर रहे हैं, तो शायद यहाँ से शुरू करना चाहिए कि आपको queer इस शब्द के मायने क्या लगते हैं. What do we mean? What are our understandings of the word queer, or what are the words that come to our mind when somebody says queer? Okay. Can we go to that purple page and show that so that we know what people have said? And once the wall is up, then I will take exactly 30 minutes. I was given an hour. I'll try to wrap up in 30 minutes because I know that we've overshot the time. Okay, ठीक है. तो ये है हमारे मतलब क्वियर इस शब्द के करेज, रेनबो, डाइवर्सिटी, जॉय, आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस, अनकंडीशनल लव, कंफ्यूजन, कलरफुल, inclusivity, diversity, pure love with no boundaries. More responses? Okay, only one person's name is seen. Your identity won't be seen. That's because Nilakshi has put that up there. Yeah. Other people, you don't have to put your names. Only your responses. Can we refresh this page? Many more on the phone. Why is it not refreshing? If you all have stopped using the Wi-Fi, we can stop the Wi-Fi so that can load. The person at my college was not entirely wrong. Lack of information, belongingness, individuals with heart, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, LGBTQI, queer means confusing, it is a way of life, wonderful person with many dimensions. It's an umbrella term. Rainbow, okay, joy, lack of information but respect, body, bodies of different kind, different individuals, sexuality, okay, wonderful persons, true love, curiosity, LGBTQ, yeah, all of those things. Okay, so these are things that we mean when we say queer. Okay, so let me ask this question. Let's take this one step further. When we say that some person is queer, who are queer persons for us? Who is a queer person? Am I a queer person in your eyes? I am. I'm just telling you that I'm speaking from a place of queerness. I identify as a genderqueer, gender non-conforming, non-binary person. But a lot of times when we say, also in Nilakshi ma'am's presentation, when we spoke about queer people, we had this whole thing about bi-curious, bisexual, transgender, gay, lesbian, like that. When we say queer person, like these are the possible kinds of people that come to our mind's eye, or these are the words that we may want to refer to when we say queer people, right? So as ma'am said, like it sort of brings to our mind's eye a certain notion of sexuality, correct? Are we on the same page with this? Yeah, queer people are lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, asexual, bi-curious, yeah, or that whole spectrum of sexual differences, which basically means these are people with a certain kind of romantic inclination towards people of a certain sex or gender, right? Romantic and or sexual inclination, right? This is our common parlance understanding of who is a queer person for now, and we will go to whether we want to stay with this understanding or do we want to expand this understanding. But abhi ke liye, and a LGBTQI person is the queer person that we are talking about. Yahan actually ek potli hai, if you can imagine a bag, yeah, which has genders. We are talking about genders. We are talking about sexualities. We are talking about bodies, because like ma'am said, sometimes people might want to think of trans persons as persons with certain genitalia, alright? Or we are talking about intersex persons. So we are talking about bodies, we are talking about genders, we are talking about sexualities. But this whole acronym, LGBTQIA, comes to stand in public conceptualization as people with certain romantic / sexual inclination, right? अब मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहता हूँ, मैं इतनी बड़बड़ नहीं करूँगा, आप ही बोलेंगे, ओके? कि अगर ये क्वियरनेस सेक्सुअलिटी के बारे में है, और सेक्सुअलिटी प्यार या लैंगिक रिश्तों के बारे में है, राइट? शारीरिक संबंध या प्रेम, मुझे रोमांटिक फीलिंग्स किसके बारे में आती है और मेरी सेक्सुअल पार्टनरशिप किसके साथ होती है, अगर इन दोनों चीजों के बारे में है, तो फिर कॉलेजेस जैसी स्पेसेस में रोमांस हो सकता है. As long as that romance is out of consent, it is not the college's business. Agreed? Romance between any two people, not just queer people. It can be about straight people also. If there is a straight boy attracted to a straight girl, there is some romantic inclination between the two of them, it is out of consent, it's none of the college's business. And I'm assuming sex the college mein hota hi nahi, right? So then it is again not the college's business. So then why are we talking about queerness in educational spaces? क्यों बात कर रहे हैं हम? हाँ, अगर ये कंसेंट के खिलाफ है, किसी की कंसेंट का उल्लंघन करता है, right? If it crosses a boundary, then maybe it is totally the college's business, right? And that is not just with queer people, it's with anybody. It could be anybody violating anybody's consent. It could be a faculty member with a student, it could be a student with a student, it could be a faculty member or a staff with another staff of college, right? Then that conversation is not about queerness. Then that conversation is about consent and boundaries, right? So if queerness is about sexuality, which is about romance and physical attraction, and if that's not a purview of the college, why are we talking about queerness with 200 people here in this audience? क्यों बात कर रहे हैं? To bring inclusivity, okay, because we are in what month? Right, all right. We will, one of the big reasons why this is happening today is also because it is the Pride month, no? And we will come to something to do with how Pride month becomes that time to talk about queer people, much like psychology, because we are psychologists, I'll give you other examples. Suicide Prevention Day, 10th of September, becomes about talking about suicide. Yeah, Mental Health Awareness Week becomes about talking about mental health. Alzheimer's Day becomes about, right? But we also celebrate other kinds of days, right? Like the Valentine's Day and the Mother's Day and Father's Day. So is this kind of a conversation the Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day kind? Or is it the breast cancer awareness kind of conversation that we have? Where will you slot this? The Valentine's Day kind of conversation is a more celebratory, I respect my parents, therefore Mother's Day, whatever. Teacher's Day, I will go and give a gulab to my teacher, whatever. Right? This doesn't seem to be that kind of a conversation. This seems to be like, let me understand Alzheimer's better, so that I can help people with Alzheimer's. Alright? Or let me understand breast cancer awareness so that I know how to detect early signs and then do something about it. Let me do something about understanding mental health so that I can do something about enhancing mental health. This is the kind of conversation a lot of times that happens when Pride Month, therefore let's have one day dedicated to understanding queer people. And there is an inherent danger there. Okay? As a social psychologist, how many of you have at least passed SYBA in psych? Okay. You all have studied social psych. Right? There is something inherently dangerous about this kind of celebration of queerness. I don't know if it is a celebration because, well, I did just tell you, I don't think it's a celebration. This kind of conversation runs the risk of being a token conversation. Right? What is a token conversation? एक महीना प्राइड का, तो बाकी के 11 महीने किस चीज के? I mean, one thing that we did not talk about in the whole pride discussion is that the word pride comes from an almost immediate flip side of shame, right? So maybe this kind of conversation needs to happen because there is some kind of shaming that is inherent to spaces that can possibly see queer people in them, right? So then this conversation needs to also be about shame, and what is it about our spaces that can possibly shame people? This conversation, like you said, is about making spaces more inclusive, which means that possibly our spaces right now are not inclusive, right? If they are not inclusive, then what are the kind of spaces that they possibly are? They're secluded, spaces that seclude, spaces that possibly discriminate, right? They're spaces that possibly violate, right? So then this conversation is about spaces that can